You probably seeing this error message. The error message is an uncaught type error. The message says cannot read properties of undefined, reading replace. Okay, let's talk about how we can solve this error message and handle this properly. First, let's talk about why we see this error message. Value of a variable could be undefined for many reasons in JavaScript. So whenever you try to replace something from a variable whose value is undefined, then you will see this problem. The thing is, we don't know when a variable's value becomes undefined. So it may create several bugs in your application. Okay, then let's talk about how we can solve this error message smartly using some techniques. I'm going to show you 4 techniques. For each technique, I need to create a variable first. Okay, let me create a variable first. The variable is example and the value could be the value would be the var, or if the var has no any value, then the example's value will become an empty string. Okay, I'm removing the space. Okay, console.log and the example. I'm going to the browser and refreshing. Yes, it has nothing. The value of example is empty. Now what if you try to replace something from an empty variable like this, example.replace. Okay, this, and I'm replacing with this str. Okay, now go back to the browser, refresh. We don't have any error message now, even though we don't see any error message there, but it can't be a proper solution. Let's see the first good solution. Okay, let me remove this and I'm creating another variable called way1. Okay, here I'll use a technique called optional chaining like this. If the example has any value, then only replace those strings. Okay, let's save this and print this out. Go back to the browser, refresh. Yes, we don't have any error message. Whenever the example variable will not carry any value, then this program will not even try to replace anything here. So this is how efficiently you can handle this error message. Okay, this is why you also need to handle this error message this way. Another way to handle this error message by checking this variable has any truthy value or not, like this. I'm removing this thing, and if example is true, then only the replace method will work, like this one, example.replace this string with another string like this. Now I have to console this example. Go back to the browser and refresh. Yes, there is no an error message. So what is going on here? The thing is, whenever the example has any truthy value, then only it will replace whatever the string you want to replace. Undefined, null, empty string, these are not any truthy value. So this is another good way to handle this error message. So far we have seen 2 different techniques. Okay, now let's see the third technique. Before that I have to remove this one. And one thing we know that whenever we want to replace something, we just replacing the string. We don't replace any numbers this way. So here I need to check the variable I want to replace is a string or not. This is an operator. Using this operator you can check the variable you want to replace is a string or not. Like this example, I want to check the value of the example is a string or something else. If the value of this example variable is string, then only the replace method will work. Okay, example and replace the string you want to replace and with whatever you want to replace with. Okay, and now save and go back to the browser, refresh. Yes, still there is no any error message. That means it is working properly. So this is another good way to handle this error message. Okay, let's see another simple way to handle this error message. For this one I'm creating a variable called any. Okay, any, and the value of this variable would be example or an empty string. So here whenever the example will carry any truthy value, then only the any's value will be replaced with the value of example. Otherwise the any's value will be replaced with an empty string. Okay, so now we are allowed to use the replace method. and there will not be any error message. String you want to replace and the string you want to replace to it. Okay, now I'm going back to the browser. Before going back to the browser, I have to console this any variable, saving and going back to the browser. Refresh. Yes, there is no an error message, so everything is working fine. You can use this technique as well. Hope you understand everything I showed to you. Okay, then let's talk about something else. What if you want to replace an element from an array? Then there is also some possibilities. You may see this error message. Okay, let's see how we can handle this error message as well. Okay, I'm creating here a new variable and I'm removing everything and a new variable called ARR. Some elements inside this array like apple, mango, and orange. And now you want to replace an index which does not even exist, like fourth index. I want to replace apple, orange. Now console this array. Okay, now let's go back to the browser, and there is the error message we don't want to see. Then let's solve this error message as well. Here I'm creating a new variable called extra. Here I'm going to use the optional chaining to check the index I want to replace does exist. Then only the replace method will work. So go back to the browser, and before that I want to console the extra variable I created and go back to the browser, refresh. Yes, there is no any error message, but one thing you see, the value of the new variable is undefined because the index does not even exist. This is why you see this undefined. So this is not an error message. I think you understand everything so far. Thank you very much. Live a happy bug free life.